Yeah, Sporting fourth, 16 points. Guimarães,
Dude,
17
your
points.
volume's loud, man.
Porto,
Is it
18.
loud? What about now? Is it better?
No, not you, him.
It's that Fugazi microphone. Speak.
Fugazi.
Hello?
Hello. Bye. All right, let me see. Bye. Fala agora. Tell me when it's low or high. Bye. Say something.
Hello?
Is that better,
hello,
Steve?
Hello?
Yeah, it's better. Before it was really loud.
All right. So I'm fine, right? Because my volume's a lot louder than his.
Your,
I
your,
can
your,
control it.
You guys ruined my whole start of the podcast, by the way.
did we?
What's going on, everybody? Welcome to another edition of the Talking to the El Benfica podcast, episode number 131. I was actually trying to make a joke. Thanks for ruining that, Steve, but that's okay. On tonight's podcast, we'll recap Monaco, we'll recap Braga, and we'll look ahead to Rio Ave. Monaco comes up Tuesday also. We'll look at that also. With me tonight, Mr. Santos. What's going on?
Sorry to wreck your joke, Alfredo. I had no idea. It must have been a pretty good one.
Yeah,
doing
usually we get a countdown.
No,
we didn't even get like a countdown. We was just like, yo, you ruined my joke.
I told you guys, don't say anything until I say, welcome to the podcast.
Bro, we didn't
I was
know.
doing my joke, and then Steve goes, your mic is too loud.
And I take back what I said about your microphone, by the way.
Cristiano
I was
is
just messing
here.
around.
Cristiano is here also. What's going on, Cristiano?
What's up, guys?
And Laura. Laura's here. Hi, Laura.
Hello.
Laurindinha, vai à janela. Bye.
Ay, Jesus.
All
Don't
right,
quit your day job.
Let's get right into this. Benfica traveled to the Principality of Monaco to play Monaco this past Wednesday, match day 3 for the Champions League. I'll give you the lineup: Artur, Maxi, Luizão, Lisandro, and Eliseu across the back. Almeida and Enzo are in the midfield. Salvio and Gaetan on the wings. Talisca and Lima. Steve, what's the deal? Are we in this or we are not in this? What's the deal with this, man?
I don't know. You look at the lineup and you say, okay, Andre Almeida, a more defensively sound player, that makes sense. So you're thinking that Jesus is going with, okay, let's be safe first and let's try to go for the win. But the more you watch the game, and you get a lot of mixed signals, the game was very flat. Benfica looked like they didn't worry about this game. It was almost like it was almost played at a friendly like pace. Sorry. So it's one of those things. If we're really in the Champions League and we want to do well, or we want to at least make third place, fine. Then play like it. But if we don't care about it, why play so many of our quote unquote starters or best players like Enzo and like Gaetan week in, week out, twice a week, if we're not interested in the Champions League? To me, it doesn't make sense. It's not lining up with any plan. If it's the fact that we're not trying to go for the Champions League, we have a certain devaluation of the Champions League because we might not have the squad to go far enough. Fine, I can understand that. But if that's the case, why are we playing our best players all the time?
Yeah. Laura, what's your take on this whole Champions League campaign, the first half of it? Do you think that the message from JJ is clear that we're not really in this for the money or to make it to the next round, but rather to just rotate players maybe?
I think it's clear that we definitely don't have the team to compete in this Champions League, and JJ did make it kind of known that this is not our priority. Our priority is the Liga, and it would be good in the Liga and also the Portuguese Cup. However, I think it's more a lack of option on the bench that makes us line up the same guys all the bloody time. If we look at the substitutions on the game of Monaco, we can see the lack of quality. I mean, I think they've put Cesar, they've put Bebe, and them two players in particular, they shouldn't even be they shouldn't have made the roster for Benfica. They shouldn't even be on the squad at all. When you look at their statistics for that game, I think we've got Thiago that's come. He had 25 minutes play and he's only had 2 successful passes over 7. He's missed up all his take-ons. He's recovered only 3 balls and 2 tackles. That in 25 minutes. That's ridiculous. And then you've got players like Cesar, where I'm really worried because now that Lisandro Lopez got his straight red in the competition. That means that if Jardel doesn't get better, we'll have to play with him. And he is absolutely rubbish. I mean, 15 minutes, he's at 2 passes and 1 clearance. That's, as as a central back, that's very poor. So I think it's just a lack of option that makes us line up these, 11.
I think you bring up great points, Laura, and I definitely agree with you that there's a bunch of players here that we've seen play on this Benfica squad this season that in particular we would never see him play last year, get any type of burn. So that definitely goes to show you the depth and quality that we have on this team, or the lack of depth that we have on this team compared to last season. As far as Cesar, great point. The guy's terrible. He hasn't showed me anything. But the good news is Jardel's back to training, and so hopefully we'll get this guy here back healthy some point. But the funny thing is, guys, that I could recall the three of us sitting here talking about Jardel and ripping the guy, and now we're like praying that this guy's back.
How ironic.
That shows the complete lack of depth.
Absolutely.
I would even have Sydney back at this point.
Sydney doing his thing at Coruña. He's doing his thing. I always thought the guy would be a useful bench player for Benfica, a guy that could be a spot starter. I don't understand what Jorge Jesus is doing, but we have faith in him, and so hopefully this turns around some way, somehow.
Yeah, but Steve, going back to the game, I mean, Monaco comes in with that initial pressure on us, but we were clearly, after the 17th minute or so, midway through the first half, we were clearly better than Monaco. And from watching the game, and I actually watched the game today, so it's fresh in my mind, we pretty much dominated Monaco, if you want to call it domination. I don't know if you would call it domination, but up until the red card for Lisandro, where we kind of backed up and kind of held the result because, a tie is obviously better than a loss. But, I mean, there's no reason why we shouldn't be winning this game, Steve.
I think what you saw in that game, it might be a little bit of a false sense of us having control of that game. I think most of his teams like to let the other team have the ball a little bit. He likes to play in a lower block, and he likes to hit teams on counters. So I think he was kind of inviting us onto them. So it may have looked like we were in complete control of the match, which I would have to disagree with you slightly. I don't think we ever really created many chances or anything like that. I think we just had the ball a little bit more than Monaco. But I think that was all part of Jardin's plan. I think he wanted to see if we would come at them a little bit and he could get us on the break. But it's such a sad thing to see a Champions League game played at this pace. It was just, it looked like, to me, it really looked like a friendly. I couldn't wrap my head around how slow the game was.
Let's be fair though, Steve. I do agree a little bit with both of you. Benfica seemed to have a little bit more of the possession of the game, but like you said, they really didn't create many chances. And even though I feel that out of the 3 games that we played in the Champions League so far, this was by far the most winnable one. We definitely had a chance to win this one. But let's be fair. Ocampos, or whatever this guy's name, he missed. I mean, come on. The guy was in front of that. Yeah. I think, unfortunately, right, and I know I don't say this often, but Ederzinho, whatever the hell you want to call this clown nowadays, he might have scored that. He might have put that chance in the back of the net.
Andre Almeida could have scored that.
Absolutely, that was awful. I mean, I just seen the ball come in and I'm like, damn. I put my head down. I'm like, damn, we're down 1-0 already. What the, wow. I mean, you should not be a professional player and miss chances like that.
Yeah, I agree. But going back to your point, and Laura, this was something that, and I think you were you were on the podcast when we did the preview of the Champions League after the drawing, and we were looking at the teams, and we were saying how balanced this group is. But after 3 games, I'm thinking that Zenit and Leverkusen have to be the front runners of this group, and we're slightly better than Monaco, even though the classification's not showing that.
Oh, I just don't understand how these Monaco teams go 5 points so far. I mean, I read some shocking stuff that Monaco had only 3 shots on target in the first 2 games of this Champions League, and they only scored 1 goal in the competition. Yet they've managed to get a win against Leverkusen and get a draw in Zenit's home. I mean, this team is clearly they don't manage to convert the goal opportunities into goals. They don't manage to put the goal back of the net. and I think we should have won that. Now, is it a blessing in disguise that we actually didn't win that game? I think we are better off not burning our players and concentrate on the league, especially when I'm sure we'll get onto the Braga game. But I think Porto is catching up to us, and clearly we have got nothing to do in the Champions League this year. And I'm even pondering whether it would be a good thing to move on to the Europa League if we ever get qualified. But as far as the game is concerned, we should have won this Monaco side because they lacked depth and they just weren't good at all. And I think we should have the 3 points at the Luge. I would be really surprised if we don't get a win there.
I won't. Not anymore.
It all depends. It all depends the 11 that he's going to put out there on the field against Monaco. If he decides to finally do what I think he should have been doing all along, which is rest players and really concentrate on the Campeonato Português, which to me is something that I really want in my pocket. I want a second consecutive title that we haven't done in God knows how long. So hopefully he does that. But if he decides to go out there and put the best starting 11 that Benfica has to offer, yeah, I mean, I would not be surprised if Benfica were to pull off a victory against Monaco, because we saw the other day, Monaco is not a very good team. Not a lot of quality up and down that roster.
Okay, as somebody who's a fan, but also a realist, I would, taking into consideration how short in talent Benfica's depth is, okay, I wouldn't mind if we crashed both out of the Europa League or the Champions League. But do you think JJ makes a push for the Europa League?
I think that he will try to get at least the victories at home, because it is money in the bank. But now I know Steve will jump in here in a second, and he'll try to convince us that it's bad for Benfica to bounce out of both the Champions League and the UEFA competition, because, it probably means losing Enzo Perez and other quality players. And, well, my answer to that, Steve, is that we're going to lose them regardless. I mean, whether we win the Champions League or not, we're still going to lose Enzo Perez at the end of the year, most likely, if it's not in January. So, I mean, to me, it's like, it is what it is. These guys are halfway out the door. And now it seems like you brought this up on Twitter earlier today, Steve, when you mentioned, Valencia now all of a sudden is interested in Guedes. I can't understand how Valencia is interested in a 17-year-old kid who's played really 25 minutes or whatever it is. I know it's a little bit more than that, but you get my drift. But all of a sudden, what is it, Steve? What's the word? Sport Lim Benfica?
Sport Lim Benfica.
You mentioned it on Twitter today, and I thought that was a great shout. And it just seems like Benfica will lose players, unfortunately, at the end of the season. That's why I'm a big fan of the new rules that FIFA will try to implement here within the next 4 years of trying to ban the third-party ownership. Maybe then Benfica will be able to form some type of team, be able to keep these guys and develop and get some cohesion and going forward, and hopefully be able to compete on all fronts.
Yeah. And just a couple other things before we move on to the next topic. And we saw Almeida in the starting lineup. I've been having difficulty understanding why Samaris hasn't really adapted to that position. Doesn't seem all that well suited for that position. Stephen, I think that Daniel Infant from Australia asked this question. Do you think that Almeida is most suited for that position right now?
I think at this moment he's the best player we have for the position in terms of the defensive side. I think he understands what is needed in all the different stages of the game of him in that position, where I think Samaris is still a little bit confused. I think he doesn't really pick the right places to be in, especially when it means covering up for Eliseu or covering gaps between Luizão and the other center back, be it Jardel or Lisandro. But André Almeida's got that down. The thing is where Samaris has a better technique. He can pick a pass a little bit better than Almeida. That's where Almeida's lacking. Almeida, Jesus said it himself. Almeida is probably the best suited for the position, but he's lacking a little bit in the passing ability. And I think...
So he's like William Carvalho. I just like to throw my jabs, but keep going.
I think I hold William to a higher regard than you do. But if you look at the Monaco game, I thought we never really ticked and really played some good football. And I think at times you have to look at the defensive midfielder at that point, because it's kind of their responsibility to keep the rhythm, to be there as a pivot, to switch play from one side to the other. And Almeida wasn't always there as the option for the pass back. He wasn't always able to see the pass forward in between lines and whatnot. So he has a little bit of a negative side. That being said, based on what we have seen of Samaris, if you ask me to pick my 11 for the next game, I'm pretty sure I'd choose Almeida at 6.
Yeah.
And now, let me ask you guys a question. I mean, and Laura, I would like for you to answer this first. But Benfica went out and spent about 10 million euros on a player like Samaris, a guy that is not an out-and-out 6, not a guy that's ever going to play defensive center mid. He's more suited for the 8 role, which is Enzo Perez's position. Obviously, arguably our most reliable or valuable midfielder, guy that we really rely on to get our team going forward. So right now, do you play Andre Almeida? Because right now, out of all the options available, he might be your best suited player to play that position, and sit your $10 million man. Is that something that will work at Benfica, Laura?
I don't know. I mean, personally, I've been. Are you talking about the using Almeida over Samaris?
Yes, at the 6th position. Yes, at the holding midfielder position. Yes.
Look,
and if you do that, you have to sit Samaris. And, that's the huge question.
Yeah, I think. I mean, that's a point I wanted to make anyway. With a player that costs 10 million euros, yeah, I think we don't have the luxury to just sit him on the bench and just make him play 20 minutes in a game or every 2 games. I think that JJ's already placed players out of position, like Talisca, for example, who is not exactly a 10. And make it work, and I think he should try and make it work for him, for Samaris as well. I've been really disappointed with the guy. I mean, Steve mentioned that he's good on his passing abilities. I will disagree with that. He is okay with the short passes in the midfield, but when it's about providing crosses for the forwards, I think he's pretty rubbish.
So like William Carvalho, then, what you're saying?
No, son, and
no,
Laura,
that's true.
And I'm sorry to cut in here real quick, but you bring up a great point, and you saw that not just from a Samaris, but you saw that from the whole team basically this weekend against Braga. I don't know if you guys have noticed, but Benfica didn't have one offside call against them, which means no strikers were even making the runs, or our midfielders feeding the balls with those long passes, Laura, that you mentioned, to our strikers, which is really disappointing.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I don't know. It's I'll be curious to see what happens, but I can't wait till Fesa to get back, to be honest with you.
He's another guy that's terrible with the ball at his feet.
No, I think that he provides some stability, and I think that right now that's one of the biggest problems right now is the fact that we don't have stability in the midfield, and that's also affecting Enzo. I mean, there's probably a whole other things affecting Enzo at the moment, but I think that's one thing that affects Enzo also. But just to finish up on the Monaco game, and I'll give you the classification after the first half of the qualifying round. Leverkusen 6 points plus 3 on goal differential. Monaco 5 points plus 1 on goal differential. Zenit 4 points. They're 0 on goal differential. Then Benfica 1 point minus 4 on goal differential. So must win at Toulouse regardless, I think, against Monaco. And from seeing these teams, Steve, really, Monaco looks the most accessible to us.
Oh, definitely. The way Bayer pressed the ball, I don't think we'll be able to deal with that even at the Luge. Traveling to Russia against a team that I think is superior to us in probably every position, that's going to be difficult as well. So you got to get the 3 points at the Luge versus Monaco and see what comes at the rest of it. But at this point, it's really, do you need the funds from the European leagues and go to the Europa League, and so you can get a little bit more gate receipts and maybe some more prize money, which actually from the Europa League is actually quite poor if I remember right.
Yeah.
If we need that and we have to make a push for it, fine. But I still don't know if we have a team that could fight on 2 fronts. And
I agree with you. And
if we're looking at it on a purely financial base, I could see why we need to progress in Europe, but on a fan who wants to win a back-to-back championship that hasn't been done, I think, since the days of Sven Goran Eriksson when I was probably only 1 or 2 years old. Yeah, I'm thinking I'd prefer that over another defeat in the final of the Europa League where it seems like we have some sort of curse that we're never going to win anything anyway. So
yeah. Let Sporting and Porto go and play whatever they want to play, and deixa os gatanhar todos in the competitions. Let us do what Sporting did last year, where they had nothing to worry about but the Portuguese championship, and they did quite well because of that. Honestly, I don't think we have the talent to compete on two fronts. Honestly, let's stick to the Taça da Liga and the Portuguese Cup and the Bicampeonato. That's my main thing.
And let's not forget, guys, whoever wins this Campeonato this year gets an automatic, berth into the Champions League next year, into number one pot number one, or pot A, or whatever you want to call it, which I think will be essential into leading it up to next year's success in the competition if we do get that far. So yeah. I think there's a couple different ways you could go here, but it's just too many question marks right now with this whole team. I'm just not too happy from what I've seen, because it seems like we haven't been able to plug the holes that we've created by the players that we let get out over the summer. So just too many question marks right now.
Absolutely
not. But that's for this season. But Luis Filipe he has promised that actually after this year that's going to be a transitional year. So it was to be expected that we're going to be struggling, and we'll be struggling in the league as well. Let's not be fooled by being the first, because this, I think, is going to be over soon. I don't want to be pessimistic, but Porto is looking a lot better than us.
All right, Laura,
we're cutting her off.
Where's the hang up? Where's the hang up button?
Cut her off.
How dare you bring up that name?
I know. Sorry, but anyway, we will be getting better players in the summer, I believe. And I think if not next year, the year after, we'll definitely have a team that will be able to compete in Europe as well.
Yeah, I'm with you. I'm with you. I think that this year is definitely a transition year, and I think that next year we'll have Cristante that's going to be 1 year older. We're going to have Samaris that's going to be 1 year older also in the system. Talisca, I don't know if Talisca is going to stay. I'm getting too ahead of myself, but I'm thinking about young guys that right now they're on a team that will be a year older, and as we know, there's a 3-year cycle that JJ likes to deal with. So these guys will be in their second year of the cycle, which would mean that they will be better next year, hopefully. So
let's hope so.
We'll be another year closer to having to fill Luizão's shoes, which we haven't been able to find the central defending God knows how long. So, and then also Laura's favorite goalkeeper will most likely not be there in 2 years, who you says, and hopefully we'll fill that hole as well. So, yeah, right now it's too many question marks leading to the future, but it's just enjoy this year, man.
We'll have Jonas, so don't worry about it.
Jonas will be out too by then.
Yeah,
Jonas will be like 33.
All right, let's turn our attention now to the Braga game, but. Obviously, the game against Monaco comes up this Tuesday. Crucial win, I think, whether you want to go into the Europa League or not. Whether we win, lose, or tie, we will still be fourth in the classification. I think because we got 1 point and Zenit's got 4 right now. So regardless of what Zenit does, they'll always have a favorite.
There's no 4-point win, like there's no trick play.
No. Maybe the point after or something. You run it in. Anyway, turning our attention to Braga, and look, you can't say that we didn't warn you. I warned you guys. It's going to be a hard game. Hard games always at Braga, and I told you what the record was in the past 10 years. I've also said that Braga hadn't lost a game at home, but I'll give you the lineup real quick. Arthur, Maxi, Luizão, Lisandro, Eliseu, Gaetan, Samaris, Enzo, and Salvio in the midfield. Talisca. And Lima.
Vaca Sagrada. Honestly.
Cristiano, surprised at all that Jonas didn't start, dude?
No, I think we talked about it last pod. It was either going to be that switch with Lima in Jonas or some way to get Jonas in there. And obviously he decided not to go with him. And, to me, it was a missed opportunity. I know Jonas started the game. Lima started the game off with a couple chances. He had a great shot on goal. Obviously, any goalie that plays against Benfica turns into, Michel Prudhomme overnight. But I still think the guy had a couple miscues. Obviously, the first goal that Braga scored is obviously a turnover. They come on a counter and he loses the ball so carelessly, and they were able to spring off a long pass and then turn it into a goal. So to me, Lima is a guy that has not been playing at his best here for a couple of months, and it's sad that Jorge Jesus didn't try to capitalize on Jonas' success because he's been playing well. The couple of chances he's had, he's played well. And even when he came into the game, I thought he did all right. He wasn't exceptional, but I thought he was all right. I mean, limited minutes, but still.
There was no Covilhã, that's for sure.
It's hard to come into a game like that and try to get into the flow when the game is at its stage that it was. And you try to laugh. This guy is really enjoying himself here. I mean,
But hold on. It wasn't Covilhã, but he wasn't the only player who really struggled against Braga. You have Talisca, who yes, he did score, but what else did Talisca do the whole game? What else has Talisca done in the Champions League?
Here's the way I saw the game. All right, I thought that Benfica started the game very, very well. I think that perhaps the first half, or perhaps up until the last 15 minutes of the half, I thought that Benfica started really well. The second half, at halftime, Sérgio Conceição made an adjustment which took space away from Talisca. You took space away from Talisca, pretty much you took him away. And I thought he was fairly good in the first half.
I thought he was useless.
You thought he was useless in the first half?
Absolutely useless.
He didn't do anything, Talisca, except from the lucky goal. He didn't do anything, and he never does anything. What he does, he's lucky. He's on the right spot where he needs to be. He scores a goal. Then he does nothing defensively. He does nothing to help the other pass to Lima. It's very rare that he does a good pass. To me, this player, I want him out of the team, and I know nobody's going to agree with me except from Steve.
She's just saying that because she knows that if Talisca goes out, then Jonas steps in.
No, but hold on a second.
That's her favorite,
but
Jonas.
Hold on a second. Let's be honest. And Laura, let's be honest. Steve, you guys, I know you're not huge Talisca fans. I'm not on board with him. Yeah, I think the guy has potential. But let's be fair, guys. If you think about Sunday's game against Sporting Braga, the few chances that Benfica created, majority of them came from his feet. Let's be honest.
Majority of them he shot from outside the box.
But at least he's shooting, unlike anybody else, and that's half a chance, man. I mean, you're not going to score if you don't help And again, he might not do much more throughout the game. He might not be as influential as other guys. He might not be into the system and help out the team the way he should do as a central midfielder. But he's playing as a false nine, whatever is a second, not a false, but the second avanzado. And he's up
position.
There. No, I don't care about out of position. The guys out there, I think all the players that are out there should add something to the team at some point, regardless of what position. Whether you're on the left, you're on the side, you're a midfielder. It is what you do. You track back, you do what you have to. But I think he's asked to go up there, be the second striker, and create chances. Yes, and he hasn't put them on goal. But Steve, who else is creating them?
Create chances. Exactly that.
And who else is putting them away, Steve?
He's scoring them, but he's not creating any chances. He's not offering himself to the ball carrier at any time, ever, except for when it's in the box for one reason or the other.
In a position to finish, dude.
But in the midfield, he doesn't offer anything defensively. He doesn't offer any way of keeping.
He's not a midfielder.
Well, then what is he?
He is a midfielder.
In the second half, he played as an 8 and he was useless. In the first half, he played as a 9.5 or whatever you want to call it. He scored the goal, but other than that, all he did was lose possession or shoot from outside the box.
Steve, how many goals has he scored so far?
7 goals.
Okay.
No, he hasn't been great. I mean, Alfredo, the guy has not been lights out. If you look at the numbers, you think the guy's been exceptional. And then you see his play and his numbers do not match up. But I disagree with Steve here where, all right, he might not offer much else, but at least he is creating chances. Even though he's shooting from the outside of the box, he's still shooting, and they're still relatively dangerous compared to anybody else. I don't see anybody else on this team taking the initiative, Steve.
Well, you don't have to go too far. All you have to look back is at one of Laura's favorite players, Cardoso, who probably didn't do shit during games, and he would just score goals.
But hold on a second. But hold on a second.
I'm okay with that, man. I'm okay with that.
Yeah, but one guy's a striker that sits up there on mama, and another guy's supposed to get involved into the game, like Steve was about to say. Go ahead.
Exactly. Talisca's job is to bring the game to the forward, and Talisca's scoring the goals instead of the forward. Which at this point, if you're looking at Lima, he can hit the side of a barn. So I guess it's a good thing he's scoring.
It's not his fault that Lima sucks.
I guess, but all the Talisca stuff aside. you watch the first 25 minutes of this game and you watch the Monaco game, and it's like there was a software upgrade from one or a switching of the chip, like they say in Portugal. You watch the Monaco game and it's flat. And
I'm with you on that.
You watch the first 25 minutes of the game at the Pedreira, and it's like there's some pressing going on. The ball's moving quickly. What was the difference? Is there a complete difference in programming from one game to the other? Do we have an inferiority complex in the Champions League?
What's the priority lie?
Guys, I read an article. I read an article here earlier today. Yeah, sometimes I read an article.
Read?
Yeah, once in a while. All the crap that you guys send me, I got to read some of it. Let's be. I've used this word a ton today, but it's just the truth. Let's be honest. Benfica's not won many road games, important road games under Jorge Jesus. That's just facts. I mean, so who's to say that he didn't go out to Monaco, the municipality of Monaco?
Principality.
Municipality. You know, everybody that's listening knows exactly what I'm talking about. Okay, that's all that matters. And who's to say he didn't go out there and say, you know what, let's play for the draw? And then obviously he comes home because once again he's prioritizing the Portuguese league over the Champions League. And that's where I think the difference and the pressure, and they're applying pressure and they're doing what they have to do because they feel that getting the 3 points in the Portuguese Campeonato are more crucial than picking them up in the Champions League.
I think as a coach, you don't tell your players to go play as a draw. You tell them to please don't lose. Go out there and don't lose this
But he's done that before. He did it against Porto a couple years ago in the last game of the year, and look what happened.
I don't know. I mean that's a whole subject altogether. JJ versus Porto and what he's done over the years against Porto. We all know that. But I thought that Benfica was pretty decent the first half. Laura, what'd you think?
I wouldn't say the first half. I think up to the goal, Eder's goal. That's also this guy is also I think he had to score for Benfica. I mean, he's doing nothing for the
national
team. I think he's got an average of 6 goals per season, all competitions together. Yeah, including the Cup, the Liga, the
Beer Cup.
I just hate this guy. But anyway, he scored against us. Up to that, I think we were good. And after that, we lost it completely. I think they took advantage of the left flank with Eliseu, who was really not up to, who was not good at all. I think Eliseu made a lot of mistakes, and we were playing against players like, for example, Pardo, and what's his name, the other guy?
Rafa?
Rafa was good, and there was another one that was really good.
Thibaut was immense.
Yeah, I'm sorry, but I gotta blame Eder's success or whatever you could call whatever he did on Cristiano, because Cristiano has spent every single pod ever since the World Cup shitting on the guy. So naturally, he had to prove you wrong.
Guys.
I'm of the same opinion.
Steve, let's be fair. He gets another 100 chances to do that, and he misses 99 of them.
Did you see that other one?
And then at the end of the game? I was getting to that. And then and if you guys still want to get on me for thinking this about the player, forward the video, do what you have to do, go back to the 79th minute, okay, right before Arda, whatever his name is, scores the second goal. He beats Artur once again near post. What a shocker. I've seen that before. I know. I understand it's a perfect shot, but he's always getting beaten near shot. Okay, I don't care. Stop. I'm making the point.
Over 100 kilometers an hour.
I don't care. Artur's always getting beat near post, and I've always been told when a goalkeeper gets beat near post, 9 out of 10 times it's his fault.
Oh, maybe Julio Cesar wouldn't have gotten beaten.
No, Julio Cesar's the man, but he was on the bench. But listen, the point is that if you watch that, go back to the 79th minute, and if you really doubt anything I have to say, any of my criticism towards Zito, whatever you want to call this clown, I can't believe he didn't change his name. Okay, go look at that chance. Oh my God! The guy, I don't know what he did. He was trying to trap the ball, kick the ball. I know he like stepped on it, fumbled. He
dripped on himself.
That was atrocious. Okay, so if anybody that doubts my vision on players, go watch that video. Then be like, "Damn, Cristiano must know something that I'm missing," because that was terrible. I'm surprised he hit the ball. I'm surprised he was able to get it on goal when he scored that goal.
Yeah, I think that was actually a shank, the goal that he scored. That ball was going out, and he just put it in. in the corner. I think the goal he scored against Benfica, but
It was terrible.
nonetheless, up until that point, and I was watching the game maybe a couple hours before we came on. It's a very curious play. It's a shot that Lima is trying to take off, bounces off a defender, then somebody in the midfield sends I forget who the Colombian guy.
Number 90.
Do you know who it was?
Tiba.
No. Do you know who it was that played for
Mikael.
Pardo? No.
Who?
It's Eder.
No, it wasn't Eder because Eder finished the
No,
play.
he's talking about
Eder's
Eder's goal. It was Tiba. Tiba
That's-
sprung the pass. Tiba just kicked it up and cleared it.
No,
In number 90,
it was Mikael, I think.
whatever. In number 90, when
Eder grabs the first ball, lays it off to Tiba.
no, man. Listen,
No.
dude, it was Benfica on a counter. Steve. Benfica on a counter. This guy next to me, okay, to my right, left, I don't know, we're on video, I can't tell. The guy right to my side, Alfredo, said that Lima tried to take a shot.
Yeah.
I've never seen anyone take a shot through anyone. The guy was standing right in front of him. He lost possession. Tiba cleared it, just kind of kicked it up. Okay, to you. Okay,
Defender.
he didn't take no shot. He tried to get around him. He's
Oh,
terrible.
get out.
They cleared the ball, number 90, which, guys, I have another huge problem. I know this is the Benfica podcast, guys, but I just think of this crap while in my sleep. There should not be any soccer player wearing number 90. This is not football. It's not the NFL. They should do like in La Liga. They should put numbers 1 through 25, and you got to pick one of those numbers, and then your juniors can wear in the 30s and the 40s, whatever, because obviously they're not part of the first team. But number 90, the Colombian dude, lays off a one-time right across everybody, and Maxi Pereira was kind of like just looking at Eder, and Eder
It's slow.
and Eder
I
put it in the back of the net. That's nice, dude. If Eder started that play, Steve, and then finished it, I mean, my man would be amazing, Steve.
I'm pretty
I
sure he
one
did.
bad thing to say. I'm pretty sure he did.
I'm pretty sure he did, my friend.
I'm gonna check it out.
pretty
I'm
sure he
gonna
did.
check it out. Just for you.
We'll check it after.
Steve, there is also another topic that's being talked about after the game in hindsight, besides the ref blowing some calls and being a little homely towards us. The one thing that people are talking about a lot is the fact that JJ is not using his 3 substitutions. I understand that perhaps there's no really viable options on the bench or somebody that's going to change. But look, Gaetan and both Gaetan and Salvio had played midweek. We got Pizzi on the bench, which is a guy that can play on the outside. Why not refresh one of the sides of the midfield with Pizzi? Why not use that substitution?
I just don't see it. I know in Gaetan you have the best technical ability in the squad, the guy who can make a chance out of nothing. In Salvio you have a guy who makes countless errors when it comes to decision making, goes down blind alleys and whatnot, but the guy is so good 1v1 and is such an athlete that he could always get you a chance out of a 1v1 situation that you leave him on the pitch. But after so many years of seeing Benfica really dragged into so much tiredness, I guess is the best way to say it, because JJ just keeps on going on and on with the same guys. I think this year, when he's got even less options off the bench or less quality off the bench, we're just going to be dead by the time January comes around.
Yeah.
For me, Pizzi would come on at least to just save Salvio or Gaetan for a little bit, because we weren't creating anything anyway, and I don't. Maybe Pizzi would have been the spark.
Yeah, but you can't do that when you're trailing or with a tie game. You have to keep your most influential player. And Pizzi hasn't shown me anything yet.
If you look at the game physically, we were broken by the 70th minute, and Braga were winning everything.
Guys, let's look at the bench.
Just hold on. Just Pedro Tiba. Pedro Tiba was everywhere, and he was beating everybody to the ball, whether it was in Enzo's position, whether it was attacking the first phase of construction in like the defensive midfield position. He was winning everything. He was everywhere. Where Gaetan and Salvio couldn't beat their markers if their life depended on it. I don't know why. Salvio had another athlete in front of him. What's that guy with the man buns hair name? Thiago Gomes or something like that?
The man's bun.
He's got a man bun. He's got, like, instead of a ponytail, he punches it up.
Thiago Gomes, yeah, Thiago Gomes.
Salvio got nothing off of him the whole game. Why not try Pizzi? A little bit of a different player, a guy who likes to step on the ball and pick a pass instead of trying to run at him 1v1 all the time. maybe it would have been something different. For me, and there's evidence in this. The 2 times this year so far that he's only used 1 sub, we've dropped points. We played against Sporting. He only used 1 sub, we dropped points. This time, we only used 1 sub, we dropped points again. So there is obviously a little bit of a connection between our lack of quality on the bench, but you can't just stick guys out there for 90 minutes, and while the other team makes changes that makes them better or physically fresher, and then just leave your quote-unquote best players, guys who have the best conditions out there to fight against guys who are fresh. It's not right.
No, great points, but listen, you have Julio Cesar on the bench, Jonas, Pizzi, Jara, Cristante, Andrea Almeida, and Cesar. Really, who do you want?
One change. I'd play Pizzi.
I would just play Pizzi. I wouldn't care about anybody else, but I would go Pizzi.
At least one more. At least Pizzi. That's what I say.
Laura, what's your take on this whole thing? The not using the substitutions. I know that our bench is short, but come on, there's got to be one guy there that can make a difference.
Well, I don't know. It's one of those things we'll never understand how his mind works. Which is always the same thing. I don't understand even why Jonas didn't come in earlier. And I don't get it for Pizzi. I mean, the rest of the bench I can understand. But I think if he had shifted things a little bit, he might have created some more problems for Braga. Whereas, like I said, Braga's just eaten us alive, especially in the second part. I mean, Eliseu as a fullback, you know, he does try to get a bit offensive, for example, but the problem then he can't get back into position, so it creates problems. It's like a massive hole, and it's an invitation for the others, you know, to get in and try and score. I just don't know why he's not used more subs, and I hope all the criticism that he's got, because there's quite a few articles online now about it. I hope that you know, he will think about it next time. But I think it's a lot due to the lack of quality, definitely.
Yeah. I mean, there is definitely a lack of quality there, but
let me get onto this lack of quality. In the 60th minute, we had our subs warming up. But Braga had their subs warming up. Their subs were Salvador Agre, the guy who scores the goal, Custodio, and Sami. Would you not take Custodio on your team? I think Custodio at this point might have been our starting 6 if we had him.
But right, Steve. You're looking at a position where it's severely lacking.
Okay.
Custodio, yes, would fit. Would you take Sami?
I would take Sami over Bebe in a heartbeat.
But Bebe, you know, logically, Bebe is 3rd, 4th string, dude. If Suleimani and John are healthy, Bebe never even dresses, dude.
Fine. But at this moment in time, I would have bought Sami before I bought Bebe.
Yeah, but then how many players are you going to have? You know, I understand. Look, I thought Bebe was a waste of money, and I think that Bebe is going to go the same way that Yannick Jalal went.
Oh, well, I can't. Oh, no, Yannick did make a whole season with us, just basically never played. You're right. I forgot that he did. I thought he left before preseason.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't get the whole Bebe thing, and I think that right now he's benefiting from some guys being hurt, but he has no place on this team. I'll be even surprised if he beats Elder Costa in the B team.
I completely agree with that. I don't think there's any more of a player in Bebe than there is in Elder Costa at all. Fushkas. Well, okay, here's a guy who I never like to complain about refs, but how did Braga finish with 10 men with 11 men on the pitch?
How did Ruben Miquel get a yellow card in the 80th minute?
He didn't finish with 11. They did get a red card.
Second
yellow. With Enzo Perez when Enzo Perez kind of tripped up the dude and all this stuff.
When did Ruben Miquel get the yellow card, dude?
Ruben Miquel, 79th minute.
79th minute. That dude got a yellow card.
See that?
Studs up.
Steve, you see that?
Thousand in midfield.
That's stats, Steve.
Good work, Cristiano. I'm proud of you, buddy.
But, you know, that guy had bad tackles all game long. How did he not get a yellow earlier? And in the meantime, Samaris goes in for a perfectly fine tackle, and he gets a yellow in the first half, which automatically conditions the guy, and he can no longer go into balls as hard as he can because he's already conditioned by a yellow card.
Dude, to be honest, Braga got 8 yellow cards.
Yeah, but they deserved it.
Thiago Gomez in the 42nd, Ader Leon, whatever, Santos in the 9th, whatever, Ruben Michael 79th, Danilo in the 20th and the 90th, which was the second, which he eventually got a red card for. Pardo on the 54th, and then Eder Zota, or whatever you want to call this clown, 49th minute. So that's 7 or 8, whatever it is. My math's is lacking right now, but yeah, every time Benfica goes into Braga, man, you see the rivalry. It seems like this old school mentality, North contra Sul, still has not gone away, and mysterious things happen when Benfica plays Braga in Braga.
Yeah.
Right, Laura?
Yeah, players get away with karate kicks.
She's not. She agrees.
Laura, it should be an interesting game at the Luz in the second half.
Oh yeah, I'll try and be there.
More bust-ups in the tunnel again, like last time, wasn't that?
Sure.
And Hulk or something. No, not Hulk. Alan, something like that. Or am I making it up?
And
Yeah.
Yeah.
always funny things happen at the Pedreira. But our first loss of the season, Braga continues to remains unbeaten at the Pedreira. I'm not really sure when they will play Sporting or Porto there, but it's going to be difficult for them too. Trust me. I mean, this Braga team, they don't have any world beaters, but they got guys that get fired up because of that clown that they got on the bench. He gets everybody fired up. I don't understand how he leaves his technical area and he goes into Benfica's bench to ask questions or whatever he does. I don't even know.
I don't know.
That clown
I don't.
The late 80s, early 90s, he came to the United States to play against my school. I was still in grammar school. My high school team, St. Benedict's Prep, and he put on an outstanding performance, even though we were able to tie Porto. A great team they had back in the days, all these juniors that eventually went on to make the first team squad. And the guy was just a clown. He was a clown on the field. He's still a clown now. And I think I texted both of you guys a couple times. There's a couple people I love to punch in the face. And that's Ruben Michael and Sergio Conceição. And then I'll just add, anyone associated with Football Club do Porto, really, just be honest. I mean, I can't stand them guys, bro. They just have a look about them. They just have a look about them. And Sergio Conceição, you saw when the melee started on the sideline when Enzo Perez and Danilo, and then everybody comes out, and the coaching staff was holding Ruben Michael back because the guy looked like you wanted to go out there and tear everyone apart. Like, just a bunch of clowns, man. I can't stand that.
Well, you know what it is, Ruben Michael, he's still upset that JJ put 4 fingers on his forehead, or Rui Costa, or whoever it was, during a game at the Luz in the tunnel. I think one of them put 4 fingers on his forehead. He's got a huge one and no hair.
I think he's just mad that Benfica chose the other Ruben over him when they both left. Was it Nacional or whatever it was? Right? Then they both come from there, guys?
This guy, Ruben Michael, he's never said anything to me, man. Nunca me disse nada.
Ruben Michael played, aside from kicking everybody, didn't have a bad match yesterday, but he's never been that great of a player.
No.
He was at Nacional de Madeira.
Yeah, him and Amorim, whatever, they both came.
Amorim was at Belenenses.
Okay, but when they both left together, when Amorim went to Porto, Benfica, Ruben to Porto, they both, and I remember in the papers there was a lot of conversation about Benfica signing. He eventually chose Porto because he said he was Portuguese, whatever it was. I recall that back in the days, like 4, 5, 6 years ago, whatever it was.
Screw that.
You recall that, Laura, at all? Laura seems like she's a huge Ruben Michael fan.
No, she's not.
No, I'm not.
I could tell you for a fact that she's not. I think she likes Jonas.
Yeah.
I like her taste.
She busts my chops all the time about Jonas.
She'll be right. In the long run, she'll be right.
Jonas should have started this match.
Yeah.
But the sub to bring him on was just... It was made...
But it made a difference. It made a difference when he came on.
Weren't you the guy that said a little while ago when we started this whole conversation when I said he came in and he was all right and you laughed at me and Steve, and now you're saying he made a difference?
He was all right. It was a noticeable difference when he came in.
He was a noticeable difference.
He was playing shit.
But the problem is, just like I said the last time he took out Samaris and brought on, I believe it was Jonas, is that you're touching too many sectors in the team with one change. And the last time we did it, I think it was against... see if you guys can remind me now, because I don't remember. What it was?
Sporting, maybe, I don't know.
No, it wasn't Sporting. It was one of the lesser likes of the league.
When he pulled Samaris out and backs Enzo into that position.
Midfield and Talisca back, and then Jonas in. The last time he did, or it was actually Derlei. The last time he did it, it worked, but that was because it was against poor opposition. When you go play against a better team, against Braga, Sporting in the Champions League, you make one sub that affects 3 sectors of the team, you're gonna get hurt. And there's a lot of people in the blogosphere right now defending Jesus, basically saying, how could we badmouth him after all these after him doing all these great things for us? fine. I will give you the benefit of the doubt that the man is competent. He's a decent coach, but the fact that we cannot criticize him when he's got very, very critical flaws. He cannot win in the Champions League. He always screws up against the big teams. One way or the other, we've lost finals. There is a critique to be made on him.
Steve, the guy's trying to make you a paella with just shrimp available, bro. It's not his fault. He doesn't have all the ingredients available.
That is this
guy, dude. I'm
that
not
is
saying that he's the best in the world, but like
that is this year. That is this year.
But dude,
O gajo está lá em cima no top 5, like he said in his interview, okay?
above
Eu tô lá em cima.
above Jurgen Klinsmann.
You should be. I mean, come on, Rick. Don't even get me started into that. We don't want to talk about that, but I'm just basically repeating what he said in his interview, which to me, every time I see that interview, bro, I crack up.
The guy is a good coach, and he's done a lot with what he's had to deal with. Don't get me wrong. The first guy to criticize him, it will always be me. But you look back and you're looking at Kike Flores. You're looking at who was the other? Who was the guy after Kike Flores?
Ronald Koeman.
But the guys before him.
I'm not saying I never said he was a bad coach. I just don't like the fact that
Perfect, bro.
Fine, that's great. That's why I have the right to criticize him.
Steve, you want to kill him for the last couple of seasons?
No.
Right now, really?
I think there's a certain fashion, or maybe I'm not using the right word. There's a certain thing to be against what the mainstream media is printing, and right now a ball is tore a strip into JJ, so now all the blogs are basically defending JJ. Fine, JJ is not an incompetent coach, but he has his faults, and as a Benfica fan, I have every right to point them out, and say that he could do better in this area and that area. This year is maybe not the best year to be picking on him because this is the year that he's got the worst squad available. But in previous years, he had sides that should have made it to the second round of the Champions League and never did. He had teams that when they were head-to-head with Porto, they never won. So there is room for criticism.
Only two leagues in how many years has he been for us?
I think this is his
7?
sixth. No, this is his sixth. Yeah.
Right. I mean, it's very poor for a coach who had the quality squad that we had before when we had this Saviola and all these great players. I think he's not, he's not really, I don't know, the results are not there. I think for me, only 2 leagues is not enough. But,
Laura, you want to criticize him for that one that he lost in last game of the season at Porto. Fine. No problem with that. But let's not forget, was he not winning titles because of his lack of managerial skills, or was it because Football Club do Porto had a phenomenal squad at the time? Also, Radamel Falcao, James Rodriguez, João Moutinho, just to name a few. They had an exceptional squad as well, and probably their players were better than ours at the time.
Yeah.
I mean, let's be honest, guys. I think the guy. There are some moves that he does in the game that you could obviously question. Okay, fine. Maybe he should have made more substitutions yesterday.
I agree.
Maybe he should have started Jonas. There's a couple questionable, decisions that he makes that absolutely we could talk about on this podcast and many podcasts across the world.
I agree.
But to criticize the guy for not doing better, the guy doesn't have much. This year. Last year's team, if he didn't win the Campeonato last year, please, kill the guy because that team was absolutely stacked. That was probably our best team in God knows how long.
Yeah.
But
30 years?
Now, I don't know about 30 years.
20.
I think that aside from the first year where he probably had one of the best squads that he's had during his 6-year tenure. Aside from that year, I think that it's been a big learning experience for him. And I think that the one thing that I take away from what he has done at Benfica is that it seems that every year he has found a way to improve on what he did the previous year. And you got to give credit to a guy that looks and can bring an improvement from season to season. Has he failed in crucial moments? Absolutely he has. Has he made mistakes that we've all said, what the are you thinking? Absolutely, he has. But is there a better man for the job right now?
And just look at Steve. Just look at he loses fantastic players, and he brings in not him, but the president or Rui Costa, whomever you want to blame here. Samaris, $10 million euros, hasn't been much. Cristante, $6 million. I know he's a young guy, but still, the money you play for him, you could have possibly paid money for guys that would contribute to this team today. Just a lot of the players that he's brought in, that the club has brought in to replace the players that left last year. Okay, Cesar, another guy. Eliseu, hit and miss. He's been playing well of late. But the majority of the guys that they brought in to fill this roster up, to replace the key players that they lost from last season, have not lived up to par. They have not lived up to what we expect.
But are you saying, Cristiano, are you saying that he's got no say in the players that we bring in?
No, he definitely has a say.
I don't think so. I don't think so because guys, let's be honest. Hold on.
I don't think he's completely responsible for everyone that comes in.
But let's be honest. Let's be honest about something. I think you ask any coach, okay? Any coach, do you want to lose the caliber of players that you lost last year? If he had a say, I think majority of these guys would still be at Benfica. I don't think he has a say, guys. I don't think he has a say.
He has some of the say.
Okay.
I don't think it's all him, but I think he has a say in it. He has that one box at home where he can watch any player at any time.
The guy's got a software.
And all you need is really TV coverage, and he's there.
We got to get the Chinese to crack that
and then,
software.
He's got that track record of Brazilian players, which
Chinese
trust me,
people,
I think that all the Brazilian players that we get is by JJ's advisement.
It's that software that he has at home. He probably gets, the downloads that Steve can't crack at home.
It's the Nintendo.
You got the Nintendo. Nah, listen, I think I don't. Unfortunately, I don't think his say at the end is the final say.
Here's my thing.
Jump in.
Bebez his buy because it's been known that it's been his buy since day one.
That's not his buy, dude. That's a George Mendes buy.
No, that's his. He called it out in the summer. Eliseu, he's been after him for 3 seasons now. We finally got him now. Look at what he's done. My criticisms of him are just how often, just for a couple things, how often do we go to the Champions League and get completely outnumbered in midfield, get completely bossed, and don't make it to the next round? It's happened all but once, right? We've made it to the second round of the Champions League once since he's been around. How often, when we are in direct competition with Porto with a similar quality squad, that we don't win the championship? Also, once that I guess you can kind of give him some credit. He didn't. He was good up until the 92nd minute goal by Kelvin. I think Artur gave away a couple goals. Yada yada. But that same year, I think Jackson coughed up 3 or 4 penalties that cost them points as well, and they still won. So there's an obvious role that the coach has to play, and I don't know if Jesus is always at that top level that he believes he's at, and he's at that level. That he's at that level where we don't have the right to criticize him. That's kind of where I'm trying to get at. I'm not saying that the guy's useless, because over the past 4 years I've grown a lot more
tolerant.
More than tolerant. I almost have a certain affection for the guy. Where before in 2011, if you told me about this guy, I'd be like, yeah, get him out the door and give me somebody else because I'm sick of him. But after seeing how much, especially on the defensive transitions and how well our defensive line worked last year and how much that's improved from year to year, I could see that the guy's definitely good at his job. But I just didn't like a lot of the pieces where I was reading this week where people are just saying, how can you criticize him? He's one of the best we've had in the past 110 years. Just because he's one of the best doesn't mean I wouldn't want more. I mean, this is a club that's won how many campeonatos? Maybe not many in my lifetime, but as a fan of that club, you always want more. So,
Steve, I think you're spoiled for being a Barca fan.
Yeah, took the words out of my mouth. I think
the guy's numbers speak for themselves, dude. He has been the best coach we've had in I don't know how many years, dude. You're nitpicking, bro.
I'm nitpicking. Fine.
Steve, there's some things he could have been better at. I just said that 10 minutes ago. Absolutely, without a doubt.
So we all agree.
But the guy stayed. Listen, he's been at this club for longer than God knows almost anybody that could remember. Okay, in the last 30 years, he's been able to develop players okay, that we haven't been able to do before. They've been able to sell players at a record pace that the club has never done in the history of the club. So
And that's
he
another
has a
reason for
hand
his
in all of that.
success.
And let's not forget that Talisca could play at least 8 positions in
Under-
the midfield with him.
Under him.
With
Yeah.
him.
Only under him.
Only under him.
Right
yeah,
there.
and he's
That-
horrible
that-
at all of them.
They'll forever be in Talisca's resume, guys. You know what I mean? So that's crucial. You know, I mean, that could get Talisca a big job somewhere one day. You know, the guy's just tremendous. So, and plus, man, that mullet is spectacular. The mullet, the guy rocks that mullet like no one else.
Not the Vint, as he's called over here affectionately in the United States. Not the Vint.
Nah,
He looks like Andrew Jackson, the guy in the $20 bill. Have you ever seen him?
With the collar power, with
Seriously.
the top button open, with the 2 chest hairs popping out. Yeah,
Seriously,
the
bring-
gold chain.
Bring that up right now and tell me that doesn't look like him.
But
The $20 bill. Anyway, let's. I think
Steve
we've
don't like him
spoken
because he
way-
got more swag than Steve. That's what it is.
I think we've.
I'm
spoken way
jealous
too much
of
about
JJ's swag. That's it.
Let's move on to Rio, which is our game that comes up this Friday, by the way. So you'll get to watch Benfica early this weekend. They'll play Friday because obviously they're playing Monaco on Tuesday. So they've asked Rio Ave, which is also involved in European competitions, if they could bring the game up. So the game will take place this Friday at 7:45 local at Stadio de Luz. I'll give you some quick stats on Rio Ave. Rio Ave is currently 8, 4 wins, 2 losses, 2 ties. Away, their record is 1 win, 2 ties, and 1 loss. The last 10 at Stadio de Luz versus Benfica. Benfica has won 8 times and tied twice. Last 4 seasons, Benfica has beaten Rio Ave with the total goal aggregated 20-4. Wow. Steve, what do you think, man? Rio Ave hasn't been doing all that bad this year. I think that they're maybe a little bit stretched because of European competition, but not a bad team, and especially when they were in both finals last year, both the Portuguese final and League Cup final. What do you think, and what are you feeling on this game?
They're a very competent side. They've got some good players. Ukra, they lost one of my favorite players on their team to Valencia, Felipe Augusto. But they got some good players, and one way or the other, it's 3 points at the Luz or go home, really. Anybody that comes to the Luz, whether it's Porto, Sporting, Braga, you got to look for 3 points. So that's my looking at it. We got to be able to beat them.
Lara, what are you thinking of this game? What's your feeling? Do you think we can rebound from the Braga game?
I think last time that we played Rio Ave, we actually struggled a little bit. We had to go on penalties, wasn't it? And I feel that we've played the Rio Ave side loads of times lately. This year. I'm talking about 2014, yeah, not the season. But I think it's a team that's going to be very competitive, and I think we will have to be careful. We shouldn't underestimate them, like sometimes we do, because it's going to come and bite us in the ass otherwise.
I agree with both of you. I think, like Steve said, anytime Benfica plays at home, regardless of who it is, unless it's Real Madrid or Barcelona, you should go out and try to capitalize and get the 3 points. But then again, Laura, great point. Benfica has struggled against this team of late, even though the scoring line, like Alfredo mentioned, the 20-4, the aggregate doesn't seem to portray that. But I do think it will be a very, very difficult game for Benfica at home come Friday. Unlike last weekend, where I was confident that Benfica will be able to pull away 3 points in Braga. I think this game will be tough. Hopefully, they will find a way to pull it off, but it will be tougher than a lot of people anticipate.
Laura, do you think that Rio Ave is going to be trying to take advantage of perhaps maybe a fragile moment by Benfica, struggling in European competitions, also having a must-win game midweek next week, and coming to Stadio de Luz off of the first loss of the season? You think that Rio Ave is going to feel that Benfica is in a fragile state?
I don't know. I don't think so. I think there's 2 components to it. First of all, playing at the Luz is always a great incentive for teams, especially little teams, to do well. And the second thing is because there is no second leg to that game. So either you win or you go out. I think they'll just give it all, basically. So that's where I think that they might be dangerous, because they don't have the aspirations that we have. They're not going to win the league, and they know that. So if they can do well for the cup, then that's an added bonus for them. However, for us, I think we have this aspiration to win the Liga and the cup. So if we are probably going to be a little bit more stressed out for that game, whereas they're going to be confident and just give it all. And if they win, that's good. If they lose, then it would be kind of expected. So it's less pressure on them and more pressure on us, which is where we might make some mistakes.
Yeah.
That's always the case. And Laura, every time a team goes into Estadio de Luz, that's their Super Bowl. That's their World Cup final to them. They know that the whole country will be watching, and these guys seem to put out more than 110%. If it's possible, they seem to always put it out because they know everyone will be watching. So it's going to be a very interesting game come Friday. Hopefully we do find, the whatever the huevos, for lack of a better word, and pull this game off on Friday. Hopefully our man Jonas, Laura, comes out and is able to score a couple goals and rub it into my boy's face over here, just like I did rub it in my face this weekend.
My name is Jonas. You care to throw out a prediction, Cristiano?
Okay, prediction. With the Champions League game on Tuesday in mind, I think Julio Cesar makes his much-awaited return to the goal line for Benfica at home. I think Andrea Almeida probably gets to start at the right. Luizão, Lisandro, Eliseu. I think you'll see Samaris. I think you'll see Enzo, once again, Gaetan, Salvio. And then I think, hopefully, Jorge Jesus is probably smart enough this time around to start Jonas up top. Oh, and Talisca. I forgot about Talisca. And then Jonas up top.
Steve, want to take a stab at it?
Look at that, Steve. You get your own intro song, bro. That's amazing.
I don't think JJ takes a spot away from Artur when he has been bad for a couple of games. I think he sticks with Artur. The whole right back thing, that's a good shout, Cristiano. I didn't think about that. How is he going to approach this game towards the Champions League? Does he care about the Champions League? I think whether Maxi plays on Friday might show a lot of what Jesus' thought process is on the Champions League. Max is a player who it seems like he's having a hard time playing 2 games per week. So let's see what he does. If Maxi doesn't start, it looks like he's definitely putting a little bit more emphasis on the Champions League than we think. If Maxi starts, then I think it's the actual devaluation of the Champions League like we think is happening. So let's watch out for that. Personally, I think he plays Maxi. I think he plays basically the exact same lineup that just played against Braga. I just really hope that he does play Jonas instead of Lima. I mean, Lima's been god-awful for way too long, and I don't think it's fair to Jonas or anybody else, maybe minus Jada, because I think Jada's garbage. But I don't think it's fair to watch Lima sink it up every week while you're on the bench and not given opportunities. So let's see Lima act, Jonas put in, but the rest of the lineup is the same as Braga.
I think it's a great chance that Jonas starts because of the fact that he can't play in European competition. So I think he'll throw him out there and just let him tire himself out.
Makes sense.
Laura, what's your prediction here for Tuesdays? Not Tuesdays. I apologize. Friday's starting 11 for Benfica against Rio Ave home.
I think we're going to get a starting 11 that's going to be traditional to JJ. So Artur, Maxi, Luizão, Lisandro, Eliseu, Samaris, Enzo, Salvio, Gaetan, Talisca, Lima. He's got 2 untouchable, Lima and Talisca. He's always going to start Talisca, and he's always going to start Lima.
No, but Salvio as an untouchable, as Steve mentioned, Vaca Sagrada.
He's another one.
He hasn't been anywhere as impressive as he has been in past seasons, to be honest with you.
The thing with Salvio is there isn't, especially with Olajan out there, isn't that much.
Olajan is hurt, I think.
Exactly. There's not much competition for his place. But I think a player who constantly makes the wrong decision and loses the ball so much, at some point you gotta reprimand him and maybe take him off a little bit early and show him, you know what, you're not doing the right things. But I don't see it happening personally. I don't. I think Salvio just for what he can offer the team 1v1, even though he does lose the ball and does not always do the right thing with the ball, I don't think we're gonna see him getting axed out of the starting lineup. Only if like he's very poor, but even then I don't see it happening. Because on the defensive side of the ball, Savio's actually a lot better than most people will give him credit for. He does a lot of tracking back.
I agree with JJ. I think the three untouchables in the midfield is Enzo, Gaetan, and Savio, the three Argentinians. I think they should play when they're healthy and they're 100% and they're fresh. They should play every single game because that's our team right there, guys. I mean, say what you want. We go as far as they go. And I know it's crucial for Lima and everyone else, and Talisca and everyone else to score the goals. But, guys, let's be fair. Those three guys are our most influential players going forward. And like you mentioned, Steve, Savio will be able to take on players one-on-one. Creates a ton of chances. Right now he's got, I believe, 3 goals scored in the Portuguese league, which is a lot earlier than at any time that he scored 3 goals for Benfica at this point. So I think he has to play. There's just a question mark here is who do you play at the 6, which is obviously, up for debate. Cristante, Samaris, and Andre Almeida. Who do you play at the 10? Do you finally throw in Jonas and give Talisca a break like Steve wants to get? Do you, give Derlei another crack over Lima? I personally would hope that we don't. I mean, if I had to go between the two of them, I'd still throw Lima out there over Derlei. Not that I have much confidence in him, but I think it'd be a much better option for Benfica. But realistically, you look at the bench. There aren't many other options. You're not going to throw Jara out there. Not in a game that you need to win. You just lost. You dropped points and lost your first game of the season. It's very important, and it's crucial that Benfica gets the 3 points this week. So you're not going to experiment. Yeah. I don't think you'll see Cristante in the midfield this game because it's crucial that you get the 3 points.
Yeah, I think you need a bounce. You definitely need a hard bounce. You need a hard bounce back. That's what you need, again, especially at home. You want to, now that you let 3 points slip away and the advantage to Porto is actually reduced to 1 point, you want to make sure that that you stay on it and you keep the fans on your side. Especially now where you're kind of entering a very crucial time of the season. So we'll just hope. I mean, I have no doubts that Benfica will win this game. I'm thinking maybe 2-0. You want to throw a prediction on a score?
Go ahead, Steve. Mine's a surprise.
I'll go 2-1 Benfica.
Yeah, that's a good shot, Steve. I think that's where I'm leaning to. I think right now Benfica is really lacking on the defensive end. I think when in transition, or when they go out on a counter, they get caught on a counter, as we saw this weekend against Braga. So I think it'll be hard for Benfica to keep another clean sheet.
Yeah. All right. And that's about it.
Wait, Laura's back on. We'd like to get Laura's prediction on the game and her final thoughts on Friday's game and what she thinks going forward. Go ahead, Laura.
Louder.
Give us your thoughts on Friday's game and a prediction if you can.
I've done that. Have you not heard it? Sorry, I've lost my connection. I don't know even.
No, that's okay. No, we just wanted to get. We just wanted to get your prediction on the result
on Friday.
Sorry, 3-1 for us.
Okay, she said 3-1. Alfredo said 2-0. I said 2-1, and my good friend Steve, obviously him and I are always on the same wavelength. He said 2-1 as well.
Laura's feeling very, very.
Yeah, Laura's just that surprised me, Laura, because
very confident.
Just 10 minutes ago you said it'd be a very tough game, and now you say 3-1.
Very confident, yeah. But she's confident that it's a tough
game.
But
it's a hat trick from Jonas. It has to be.
I hope so.
Yeah. All right, so I think that's about it. I'm sorry if we spent too much time talking about JJ, but I guess sometimes when we get going about JJ, he's a polarizing figure.
It's my fault. I'm sorry, guys.
The haircut, guys. It's the haircut. Fantastic job. Listen, it's been a privilege once again. No, I was going to tell everybody, make sure you follow Benfica Podcast on Twitter if you're not doing so. Myself, 10CO10, Steve06, Laura Silva.
Steve06.
Not Steve 06?
It's close enough.
6.
Oh, I forgot the Santos part. Steve Santos 06, Laura Silva.
No.
L.O.
Cardozo 28.
Oh, LOL Cardozo 28.
LOL. L.O. Cardozo 28.
Hey, Laura, just wanted to throw out there, and for the rest of you guys at home, I met Cardozo's cousin over the weekend, so Hopefully we can.
Don't tell her that.
Okay, I want to
I'm
take
not
that
gonna
back.
leave you alone.
Hit record. And and I was gonna say follow you, but you are follow, which is
At
Benfica
Benfica
Podcast.
Podcast. Also, quick thing, up on our website, excellent piece by Marco Lopes from South Africa. He looks back at Benfica's past years and this year and how we could manage to win the Bicampeonato. I advise everybody to check that out. Also,
In Laura's articles, she does a fantastic job with a lot of these articles,
but
guys. If you haven't had the chance to see them, you should check her out.
Busy lately.
LOL Cardozo 14, whatever.
LOL Cardozo.
On Twitter. Check her out. If you don't know what it is, if you can't get it,
man.
go.
It's LO Cardozo 28 over there. You see that? Look.
LO Cardozo 28,
28.
guys. She does. I'm not even trying to be funny. I'm just being honest. I read a bunch of her articles, and I think she does a fantastic job. And if we didn't think she did a fantastic job, she wouldn't be on with us. So, really, follow her, check her out. She knows her stuff.
Yeah.
Fantastic job, Steve. That's the scout right there. What we gonna call him? Steve Chalkboard Steve. Fantastic.
Also, as I was talking about Marco, footy_Marco L. Also, Marco is a part of AnfieldIndex.com, which is a good Liverpool podcast. So if you like Liverpool, I advise and
You shouldn't like them.
I advise everyone
Oh,
to
you
check
should
that
like
out.
them. You should like them.
AnfieldIndex.com. Laura also sends a recommendation. Don't forget to check out our friends over Planet Benfica.co.uk. Also, BSH podcast, where Mr. Cristiano
Ignore
is
the BS part at the beginning, okay? BSH. Don't forget the H.
where Mr. Cristiano and Mr. Eric Krakauer throw it down every Monday and every Thursday sometimes, talking about European football, sometimes a little bit MLS. Always an entertaining pair.
But the most important thing is, as you can see, stand up for everybody to see. If you listen to this on iTunes, it's all right. Don't worry about it. Stand up.
I did something.
All right, don't worry about it. It's still working. See the beautiful T-shirts? Everyone is finally getting them. They're arriving at everyone's homes. I have not gotten mine yet, but guys,
Me either.
don't forget when I get my T-shirts. One is for me, and the second one is for the 1,000th follower of the Benfica podcast. And right now, you guys are severely slacking.
Oh.
Okay, so I guess I'm gonna be keeping 2 T-shirts for me for a while because you guys aren't doing your jobs.
And for those of you that didn't get a chance to order the T-shirts during the time that you were supposed to order it, and I know there's at least 2 or 3 people out there in that position, you could still go to Teespring, teespring.com/Benfica-podcast. You can order yours. The only thing is that it needs to reach 15 until they can be printed. So right now I think there's 2 in there.
For a second there, I thought we were in the spelling bee contest. I mean, just
Yeah, almost. I just want to make sure that people know where to go. That's all. Anyway.
Steve hasn't said anything. I guess he approves of everything we said so far.
You missed there was a certain Neil Fernandes who posted a couple decent pieces on the website.
That's right. I was getting there. Neil
Okay.
has also been busy on the website, and thank you for reminding me that Cristiano is distracting me. He's got his hand on my leg, and I'm not liking that too much. Anyway, definitely check out Neil. Neil put a piece there on finding Steven Vitoria and also Jonas, which you should definitely check that out. There's definitely entertaining.
I think
pieces.
Steven should send us half of his paycheck because we mention him every week. Somehow, I thought we were going to get away without mentioning him, and you had to mention this guy.
Vitoria. We like the guy. Hey, I would take him over Cesar, to be honest with you.
Yeah, as a backup to sit on the bench, who cares? Who sits on
No
the
way,
bench?
dude. Even as a starter, I think that he has a lot of potential. He just hasn't been worked correctly, I think.
For this 13-year career.
Anyway, check out Neil's piece at BenficaPodcast.com. That's where it's at. Also, Marco's piece and Laura's occasional piece. I know that she's been busy. We appreciate all her efforts. She tries, and we're not very demanding, so we appreciate everything that comes our way. At Steve Santos 6, 10CO10, LO Cardozo 28 at Benfica Podcast is where you can find us on Twitter. Thank you very much for checking us out. Sorry if we ran a little bit long, and
Steve's fault.
thank you very much. And talk to you again next week. Next week we will break down the Monaco game, and we'll look ahead to the upcoming weekend's game, Benfica. See ya.
Ciao.
Arrivederci.